I took their trash out for months while they traveled. When I forgot one bag, they dumped it back on my porch. "Take care of your own filth," he said. I opened the bag, and when I saw what was inside, I made a quiet call that turned their next vacation into. This happened in Boise, Idaho. I've lived in the same house for 9 years. Quiet neighborhood, a little older, not much turnover. People keep to themselves, but we wave, you know? Say hi when we pass. That kind of thing. My upstairs neighbors, Dean and Marcy, moved in 3 years ago. Mid-40s, no kids. They do this travel influencer thing, blogs, videos, weird recipes from Bali or Spain or wherever. I didn't pay much attention, honestly. But they were decent enough neighbors. We'd chat in the hallway. They'd bring me pastries after trips. Harmless. Last fall, they told me they were heading out again for a long trip, maybe 6 weeks. They asked if I could pull their trash bins to the curb twice a week and bring them back up. I said sure. I was home anyway. It wasn't a big deal. No pay, no offer. Just thanks so much. We owe you one. That kind of tone. I didn't push. It felt like the right thing to do. So I did it. For almost 2 months. Twice a week, like clockwork, I'd take their bins out. And not just roll them down. Sometimes I'd pick up the trash bags myself, because they forgot to leave them outside. A few times I noticed the lid wasn't sealed right, so I fixed it. Once it was raining, and I moved the bags, so they wouldn't soak through. They didn't say much. Just thanks again, in a text once.
No gifts.
No favors returned. I didn't care. Then one Tuesday morning I missed it. I had an early Zoom meeting and completely forgot to pull their bin out. Just once. First time in 8 weeks. That night, when I got home from the grocery store, I saw something on my front porch. Their trash bin. Next to it was a black trash bag split open, leaking a little. It was clearly placed there on purpose. And taped to the side of the bin, in big block Sharpa letters, was a note. Take care of your own filth. No, hey, we're back. No knocking, no text. Just that. Like I was the janitor who missed a shift. I was confused at first. Then I got angry. Really angry. It wasn't just trash. I looked closer. Inside the bag were things that didn't make sense. A full loaf of bread. Sealed cheese packs. A container of strawberries. A 6-pack of LaCroix. None of it had mold or smell. It wasn't old. I realized what happened. They'd come back early. Probably saw their bin hadn't been pulled. And instead of thinking, oh, he must have been busy, they drove somewhere, bought groceries, or maybe even repacked their fridge stuff and dumped it out, just to make a point. They staged it. Like it was a lesson. I stood there in my own driveway, looking at their food in a ripped trash bag on my porch like I was beneath them. I didn't say anything to them. I didn't text back. But I remembered something they once mentioned, about a second property they were renovating near Stanley. It's on their travel site. They use it for Airbnb sometimes or shoot videos in it. I looked it up. Found the site. Found the owner contact. Not them, some LLC. I called the number listed for emergencies. Hi, I'm their downstairs neighbor. I think you need to know what's been going on at the main residence. That's all I said. Next thing I knew, a quiet string of things started happening. One of their cars disappeared from the driveway a week later. Towed, not stolen. I know the driver who showed up, small local repo outfit. That means something was unpaid. 2 weeks after that, I saw a city inspector walk around the property, checking something near their deck. Looked like a permit issue. Maybe someone tipped them off. The real hit came when I saw their next video. A trip they'd planned to Mexico got delayed. They were frustrated, having passport issues. Not true. I found out through someone in town. They'd been flagged for a property dispute tied to the Stanley place. That's when I knew the LLC had started looking deeper. I never admitted anything. I didn't throw their trash back. I didn't argue. I just stopped helping. Now they walk past me in the hall and barely make eye contact. They haven't asked for help since. About a month later, they sent me a text out of nowhere. Hey, can we talk for a second? I didn't answer. A few minutes later, there was a knock at my door. I waited. Quiet. Then a second knock, louder. I opened the door, just a crack. Dean was standing there. Marcy wasn't with him. He looked off. Not angry, just sort of tired. His eyes were bloodshot, and he had this weird half-smile like he was trying too hard to act normal. We wanted to apologize if that trash thing came off wrong, he said. Marcy was just upset. We were tired from the flight, and look, we shouldn't have done that. I didn't say anything. He waited a second, then added, "Anyway, if you're okay with it, we're going out of town again in a few weeks. It'd be great if you could help out with the bins like before." That's when I left. Quietly, and only once. I said, "No, I'm not doing that again." He stood there, blinking like he didn't hear me right. "You sure?" he asked. "We can pay this time." "No," I said again and shut the door. 3 days later, their trash bins sat out front all day, forgotten. The truck skipped them. I watched from the kitchen as Dean rushed out in sweatpants an hour after the truck passed, looking around like he'd just missed something important. I didn't say a word. That week, I got a letter in my mailbox. No stamp. Just slid in by hand. It said, "You're not who we thought you were. You've made a mistake. Be careful." No signature. I knew it was them. It was a threat dressed up as concern. I kept the note, scanned it, filed it in a folder I'd quietly started on my laptop, labeled T&M Residency Behavior. See, what they didn't know is that the property they lived in was technically part of a 4-unit condo agreement. Shared roof, plumbing, insurance. And I'd been on the condo board for 6 years. They never read the bylaws. I did. The bylaws said any tenant who creates intimidating conditions for others could be reported to the HOA and investigated for misuse of shared property. So I started documenting. Photos. Notes. Timestamps. The trash on the porch. The note. One night they left their patio lights on past 2 a.m. Not a big deal, but the bylaws said shared-facing lights had to be off by midnight. Another strike. I sent everything to the board, no commentary. Just facts. 2 weeks later, I got a blind copied email from the HOA president. "You're doing the right thing. Keep going." Marcy tried to make small talk once in the hallway, all smiles like none of it had happened. "You know," she said, laughing, "Dean's been super stressed. He's not himself lately." I just looked at her and said, "Yeah, I can tell." She didn't smile after that. What they didn't realize is I wasn't trying to destroy them. I just wanted them to feel it, to sit with what they did, and realize they weren't above consequences. Not about a week later, something strange happened. I was outside watering the little strip of grass near the sidewalk when a man pulled up in a dark blue SUV. He got out holding a clipboard and a camera. Looked like an insurance adjuster. He walked past me and headed straight to Dean and Marcy's stairs. I didn't say anything, just kept watering. But I watched. He walked the perimeter, took a bunch of pictures, roof, gutter, siding. Then he knocked. Marcy answered. She looked surprised. A few minutes later, they were both outside pointing at a corner of the foundation. I heard Marcy say, "That crack was already there when we moved in." The guy didn't look convinced. Later that day, I overheard Dean pacing on their patio, talking loud into his phone. Something about liability. Something about a missed payment. This wasn't just about trash anymore. Their lives were starting to unravel, little by little. And the thing is, I never laid a finger on them. All I did was stop protecting them. They used to get packages delivered almost daily. Influencer boxes, I guess. Free stuff. That slowed down. Then stopped. One day I saw a box from a brand I recognized sitting outside for 2 full days. No one grabbed it. No one posted about it. Like they didn't want to show their faces anymore. I kept documenting. Quietly. Any shared violations, late-night noise, packages left in the hall, unapproved storage under the shared stairwell. All against HOA code. I never responded to their little jabs, like when Dean muttered "traitor" under his breath when we passed in the garage, or when Marcy accidentally let her dog pee on my doormat. I just took pictures. Dated everything. Then came the notice. A printed letter taped to all 4 condo doors from the HOA. As of July 1st, All units will be undergoing inspection for code compliance. Any unapproved modifications, disturbances, or misuse of shared areas will be formally documented and may result in penalties. Dean tore it down before noon. 2 days after that, they posted a new video online. Well, tried to. It was just them sitting in their living room talking about how stressful things had been. "We're dealing with some personal challenges," Marcy said. "Sometimes people in your life turn on you for no reason." The comments weren't kind. People asked why they were filming at home, why they looked so drained, why their travel content disappeared. The likes were low. They took it down within the hour. That's when I knew it was working. Not fast. Not dramatic. But slow, tight, and clean. They were unraveling exactly how they tried to unravel me, with silence, with little acts of cruelty, with a trash bag left on a porch, like a message. Only now the message was coming back to them. And I still hadn't said a word. Mid-June, I got a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. Woman's voice. Very polite. Said she was calling on behalf of a property management company. Something about a neighbor feedback survey connected to the Thompsons unit. I didn't call back. But it told me something they were trying to sell. Or at least thinking about it. I watched more closely after that. A white sedan showed up 3 days in a row around noon, parked just outside their unit, and left after 15 minutes. Realtor. Maybe an appraiser. And then, on a Thursday morning, Dean carried out a stack of boxes. Not moving boxes, just random junk. Like they were cleaning fast, without a plan. The funny part? They never told anyone they were thinking of leaving. Not the HOA, not the neighbors. Just quietly trying to disappear. But Boise isn't that big. I know someone who works in real estate law. Small office, mostly paper filings, but they talk. One night over drinks, she said, "We're getting more cases lately where people try to offload property because of hostile environments. Weird clause in some of those influencer deals. They have to maintain a positive community reputation. Or the contracts fall through." That's when it clicked. This wasn't just about money, or trash, or even power. It was about image. Brand. Clean, smiling videos from a bright living room. And I was the one thing they couldn't control because I had no contract. Nonda. No obligation to protect their reputation. I didn't post anything. I didn't leak anything. But I didn't protect them either. A week later, they had another visitor. This time, an older man with a clipboard and a camera. I recognized him. Inspector. I stood in the hallway while he measured the distance between their deck railing and the property line. Wrote things down. Snapped photos. Dean opened the sliding door. Tried to talk. The man waved him off and kept writing. After he left, Marcy came down and knocked on my door. I didn't answer. She knocked again. "We need to talk," she said louder. Then softer. "Please." Still, I didn't open it. The next morning, a printed flyer appeared in the mailroom. "We're taking a little break from filming and focusing on our health. Thanks for your patience." No one cared. Most neighbors had already stopped waving at them. I kept watching. And I kept waiting. Because I knew what was coming next. It was the last week of June when the tone finally shifted. Marcy showed up at my door again, this time holding something in her hand. It was a manila envelope. "I just want to leave this here," she said quietly. "No games." She placed it on the doormat and walked off. Didn't wait for a reply. I brought it inside. Inside were 6 things. A handwritten note. "We're sorry for what we did. The trash, the note, everything. We were exhausted, and we acted like children. You didn't deserve that." A $100 Visa gift card. A printout of an Airbnb listing somewhere in Oregon. Their property. A letter from the HOA citing their unit for 3 separate violations, dated and signed. A final notice from their brand partner, stating their contract was on hold pending community feedback. A small printed photo. It was of me, standing on my own porch. Taken through a window. That last one stopped me cold. It wasn't threatening. I wasn't doing anything weird. I was just standing there, holding a watering can. But I hadn't taken it. They had. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about guilt. It was about fear. They realized how close they were to losing everything, and they didn't even know where the line had been crossed. And maybe that was the point. For weeks, they tried to control the narrative, shape the story. Trash bag on the porch, smug little notes, pretending like they were still in charge. But once I stopped playing along, once I stopped answering the door, the messages, the little jabs, they lost control. Now, they were handing over envelopes like it was a settlement. But it wasn't money they owed. It was the years of quiet, polite treatment they never returned. It was the one favor I did that they turned into a weapon the moment I messed up once. It was them forgetting that people remember things, not just the big blow-ups, but the small humiliations, the petty punishments. I didn't use the gift card. I didn't reply to the note. I just added the envelope to the folder. The next week, their car was gone. Lights off. No sign of them. But the flyer in the mailroom stayed up for 2 more weeks before someone finally took it down. I still take my trash out early, same as always. Nobody thanks me for it, but that's fine.
The porch is quiet now.
No more notes, no dumped bags. But every time I hear a knock I'm not expecting, I still hesitate, just for a second, because I remember how fast people can turn and how long silence can echo after they do.